Petroleum by Gabriella, Julia, Zach, and Zainab. What is petroleum? Petroleum is a liquid mixture of hydrocarbons that is present in certain rock strata and can be extracted and refined to produce fuels, including gasoline, kerosene, and diesel oil, which is basically oil. How do we get it? Underground, where the rock folds into an umbrella-like shape, oil and gas is trapped in pockets. In order to retain the resource, we drill a well into the earth. Naturally, the oil and gas travels upward from the source rock in which they were formed. So when we drill in, we bring it to the surface. The resource is then transported to an oil refinery, where they transform the crude oil. Crude oil's thick form isn't usable, therefore these refineries turn it into useful products and materials for us to work with. How do we use petroleum? We use petroleum for fuel, heating, transportation, and electricity. It is also part of what becomes asphalt roads, and is in food stock, chemicals, plastics, and synthetic materials. Is petroleum worth it? Advantages: high density, easy extraction and cheap, liquid form for easy transportation fuel. It is applied in many areas. Disadvantages: it's a limited resource. Eventually the cost will increase and power plants will have a hard time to extract it. Pollution: petroleum extraction and burning oil releases greenhouse gases which pollutes and contributes to global warming. Non-renewable energy form: over time, a depletion of fossil fuels can lead to a finite supply. Therefore, a demand will continue to arise, costs will increase, and potentially lead to economic conflicts. As you can see, even with the good, there's bad, so how can we reduce that? What can we do to conserve this resource? One of the most common uses of petroleum is transportation fuel. To generate the power needed to obtain it, to transport it globally, and even in the simplest forms like cars, trains, buses, or a light switch. Although the U.S. has about 4% of the world's population, we use about 25% of the world's oil, about 84,249,000 barrels per day. That is more oil consumption than any other country. Over the next 20 years, our total miles of transportation is predicted to grow by 40%, increasing our fuel demands. Airplanes use about 9% and 3% for trains and buses, but personal vehicles, they use more than 60% of our energy transportation. 71% of petroleum is used for transportation, and 48% of that contributes to cars. In all, a total of 86% of all that energy used in this sector comes from gasoline and diesel fuels, all of which we use when traveling. What can you do? Some healthy alternatives to help us preserve our petroleum is changing the way we travel. When you can walk, when you can use an electric car, public transportation, and even a bike.